Truthfully Speaking Grace is a global podcast dedicated to connecting, celebrating, and inspiring listeners with empowering conversations. Join host Agatha Corbin as she gracefully builds with real people, sharing real stories, and unlocking real enlightening truth. Welcome. This is Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast with your amazing host, Agatha Corbin, giving you real conversation with powerful topics and connecting with real inspirational people from all over the world. So sit back, relax, and let's get this podcast started. Welcome to Speaking Grace, Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast. Love and Marriage edition with wife coach, Aretris Hollins in the house from Texas. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is our second installment on the Black Love Matters series for October. Again, this one we're going to be talking about love and marriage from the husband's view and perspective, and some of the things that she, as a wonderful counselor and coach, has probably seen it all, experienced it all, and want to make sure that couples all around the nation, particularly in the church community, heal from infidelity, heal from past wounds. I will say last night's podcast, I'm still eating off of that. It's salivating, all of that. That was such delicious information from you. So tell the audience real quick a little bit who you are and why you do what you do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show today. You're an amazing host, first of all. But I'm Aretris Hollins. I am the founder of Connecting Love and Marriage. I specialize in helping wives heal from infidelity and restore their marriage. Why do I do what I do? Because I'm sick and tired of seeing women suffer from infidelity, the pain, the heartache, the emotional and mental roller coaster. I'm sick of seeing women suffer for decades after actually experiencing the pain. So I want them to experience the love, the peace, the happiness, and the joy that God has already ordained for them in love.
In love. All right. And that's an amazing thing because, again, why I was moved to do this series was I see the pain and the breakup of a lot of families and beautiful couples because of infidelity. And that's both on the women's side and the husband's side. But really the women, we carry it. We just, and we just want to talk about how they can heal from it and talk to the men, okay? Fellas, take notes, get your pen, your paper. On how to restore that relationship and that trust. So one of my first questions, because I always like to start from the beginning. Let's talk about the man as a whole, like we did with the women. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that men should be doing as they're looking for a wife? Because it is the man that findeth the wife, findeth a good thing. We talked about that. So what does the man need to do, prepare for, as he goes searching for that wife, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, all that?
First of all, he needs to make sure that he is spiritually aligned with God. He needs to make sure that he is connected and hearing his voice and following his leading and his guidance. You can't go wrong when you are obeying and following God's plan. So making sure, and I'm not talking about a religious relationship where you go to church on Sunday and you might read your Bible on Thursday.
Okay, did you say, wait a minute, did you say might? Why you gotta be drive by? Can't do that drive by,
let's be clear. We need a relationship. Your relationship with God needs to be as intense as the relationship you want to have with that woman.
Okay.
So if you want to be booed up on Sunday only with your wife, then okay, you might want to have fellowship with God only on Sunday. But you want to make sure that every single day you are communing with him, you're hearing him, because you have to lead. You have to be a protector. You have to be a provider. There's a list of responsibilities and duties of a husband. And the only way you can do that effectively without burnout and without feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders, the only way you can do that is when you've allowed yourself to listen to and submit to the will of God, because
Wait a
God
minute.
will. Hmm?
So the man has to submit?
The man must submit to God.
Okay. I wanted you to reiterate that.
That's mandatory. You must, because you want a woman to submit to you, but you need to be aligned with the word of God, because a woman, let's just be clear, a woman will naturally, unless she's still dealing with baggage from her past, a woman will naturally, we're created to surrender, to submit. When you are following the will of God, we will naturally submit to a man, no hesitation. But when you
Yes.
out of order and you in them streets and you just willy-nilly fly by night, ain't you have no kind of understanding of anything, it becomes a challenge for us. So not to say that it's okay to not submit if he, whatever, but having an authentic relationship with God, because he will tell you when you're following the Lord, he will show you the red flags and the traits of a good wife. Um, someone once said that, a woman's looks won't raise your children. A woman's looks won't, make a home for you.
Yeah.
So when you are just looking at a woman's looks, you're overlooking all the other stuff needed to have a wife.
Wife.
Yes.
Okay.
So you make sure that you're aligned with God, deal with your own baggage.
Okay, so men have baggage.
Sweetness. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
because I tongue in cheek, but really, in past day or even to now, men are deemed to be the strong one. They hold things in. They don't communicate. They don't share. They don't, man up. Man up, and but baggage.
Everything you just named is toxic.
Yeah.
Like all those traits you just named, they don't share. They don't,
Yeah.
talk about the issues, man up. All of that is toxic behavior that only damages and harms them, and it leaks into the family.
Okay. This is good. This is good.
You have to, men are human. I mean, yes, they're the stronger vessel physically. Physically, they're the stronger vessel, but they have emotions, they have feelings, they have thoughts and weights in their mind that they're struggling with. And many men have not been taught how to freely express themselves without judgment, because of many of the stereotypes that you mentioned, and many women impose on men, and men impose on them, where you got to man up, you got to hold it together, you got to be tough and don't share your emotion. What you mean emotion? Women got emotions, what are you, a punk? Some of the things that men have to, especially black men, don't let a black man cry.
Oh my God, no.
Like, wait a
what?
He crying. Wait a minute,
But okay, let's talk about that mental, because we're going to stay there for a little bit longer, because don't you believe, I'm not a doctor, but when you look at the statistics with health and wellness, that is why a lot of our brothers, our fathers, our uncles, the men in our lives gone too soon because stress. Yeah. I always said they my dad and his friends and my uncles all used to laugh like, "Oh, you women outlive us," and so you're thinking like, "Well, is that why we were
outliving them?" we women naturally live life in community. We'll if we can't get to a council, we're gonna talk to our sister, our mama, our cousin, Pookie Ray Ray, the cashier at Walmart, someone standing too long in the aisle next to us, who asks us how we do. We have no problem in sharing our truth or our pain and our suffering, because we're looking for answers and solutions. Men, on the other hand, they've been unfortunately trained, and society does not want them to release that tension. And yes, that is why many of our men are dying early, because they're carrying this weight and haven't learned how to relax. They haven't learned how to let go of issues and be able to just be in the moment of whatever they're feeling.
Wow. Well, this goes right into the next question. Is then, what is your opinion on today's male view when it comes to dating, courtship, and marriage? Because again, men are different from women. So what have you, when you're counseling, what are some of the things, perspectives that you see? And you're a wife, that's the main thing. So what are the things you think they view it as, those important things?
It's challenging. What's funny, the same struggle that women are having with dating Christian women who are looking for a Christian man, men are having the same struggle.
Yes,
I'm
getting that too.
They're trying to find a good wife, but Hoochie and Shaquita with boobs hanging out and thick thighs and what's the new booties that we're buying now?
They can buy them now.
Okay, I remember back in the day, it was rare. I happen to be very voluptuous in that area, and it was
Me
rare.
too.
Now I'm looking at women like, great googa mugga, what's going on here? You got midgets in your skirt. But anywho, I'm sorry, I digress. Anywho,
Keeping it real, but this is so. I mean, we're laughing, but I say that view because they don't know what's real.
Exactly.
They don't know what's real anymore. And I hear from gentlemen, old, young, and in the middle. They're like, I don't know what's real. I don't know, I don't know if she's real, her mind real, if she's, because we talked about that last night, because the media and social media and everything else, this aggressive nature, they're like, whoa. But still, to me, men still have some type of accountability, right?
They do. They have to, the same standards that we have to create and the same boundaries that we have to create, they have to do the same thing. If you are a man of God and you desire to have a woman who is Christ-like, you have to have standards, and you have to uphold your standards and those boundaries, because you don't get any leeway.
Yeah.
Because you can't marry Jezebel and then get mad because she don't know how to raise kids, or she
can't cook, or she can't think and function, and then you
trying to make plan for your future and build generational wealth and all this other stuff, but she just wants to buy Louis Vuitton bags every other day. Like, you have to make sure that before you get married, know the type of woman that you want. Not just, I want a Christian woman. Because there's plenty of women out there that are saved and go to church, but are not wife material.
Come on now.
Create your list of this is what I want in a woman. Lord, what kind of woman do I need in my life? And create a list and pray over your wife. Pray for her before you even meet her in advance. Lord, bless her mind, help heal her from past baggage. Whatever it is that you want in a wife, you need to be seeking that and know what it is prior to. That way, when you meet it, it aligns with what your expectations already are. Now, I'm not talking about she must be 5'8", 32. I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, all those things that you want in her, so that when you see her, it'll align. Now, of course, we have to be able to look. He has to be able to look at her and say she fine as wine. Of course, we know that. Of
course, because men are they go by the sight, they go by that, but they go by that most of the time, but I noticed they're starting to, I don't know. It's just, I don't know, because it's so much fakeness or not real or aggressiveness. They're starting to look more into the who she is. Back to the way it's supposed to be, you know, maybe.
Even Christian men will look at big booty Shaquita. Even Christian men will see slender thighs. He's going to look at them. He may even desire her. He might even entertain dating her. But will he marry her?
Marry her.
You know, there's a difference. If he is not intentional about marrying a wife of substance, now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the woman with the big booty is not a wife. You know, I'm not saying that they're not wifey material.
Of course.
But what I'm saying is he has to be intentional about knowing what he desires, because when all else fails, when he is sick, will his woman go and pray for him? Will she take care of him? Will she, when he loses his job, will she stay? You know, when the kids are cutting up and everything, will she leave him and abandon him with the kids? You know, there's certain things that qualities that you want. And the most important thing, when you are building your legacy, this woman a legacy builder?
Or is she a taker?
Is she going to build a legacy of children? Will your grandchildren speak positively of her and how she has poured in to their parents? You know, we're it's not just about me, my husband, and my children.
It's the whole.
It's a legacy. I want my great grandchildren to be talking about, you know, Nana Eritris. You know, this is what she did, and this is how she taught my daughter and my other daughter, my grandchildren, and how I taught them how to pray, how I taught them how to read the Word of God. You want a wife who's going to be able to build a legacy where your name will be known in the community.
As a Proverbs 31 woman.
Look.
Okay, gentlemen, read Proverbs 31, because that what she just described is biblical. And you just, you flow there.
And it's not just, and let me also say this, it's not just she has to be a homely looking child, sad, no makeup, you know, she just look depressed, like depression, just like she doesn't look homely. You can have a fine as wine wife, hello. And you know, who puts on the stuff and she wears it well and she's fine and fabulous. Looks are very important, but you got to make sure you go beyond that and get to, is she going to build a legacy for me?
Okay. So with that said, do you think it's harder or easier to have committed relationships in this era? I mean, what are the men? Is it even possible with the divorce rate, with the wandering eye? Okay, let's talk about this with the side piece, which that just infuriates me. It's just like, that has become for men like this badge of honor of, I got a side piece, but I have this beautiful Proverbs 31 woman at home. And then you got the media and the people, and even in the church, I mean, they're glorifying it when they don't say anything about it. You know, I mean, back in the day, you know, my parents used to play that song, you know, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and I finally had asked my family, I said, what's that mean? And she broke it down like, oh, okay, where he laid his hat was his home. So he was just rolling. So, but now do you feel like there's no boundaries for men anymore? They could just, it's almost acceptable or look for that you're going to have a side piece?
It's glorified now the same way a lot of sin is glorified now. You know, having a side piece, being married and having someone on the side, no matter whether it's 1984 or 2021, it's still a sin, no matter what. Unfortunately, sin, and we're fulfilling the prophecy within the Bible.
Yes,
Sin
we are.
has become more and more acceptable.
Acceptable. I think that's what I was trying to say. It's always been around. Like I said,
Mhm.
I mean, even in the biblical, I mean, David, I mean,
Let's not get started with David
know,
now. Woo! Come on now, David.
Solomon romance all of his.
You
So,
see? You
okay.
see?
So, but I mean, versus where me and you grew up, there were still some boundaries.
Yeah. There was a and I can't say respect, but it was a code. It was a code.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't because even though back then women saw it as respect, like as long as you don't bring it home, they felt they were being respected, even though it was not respect.
Nah, no.
But it was, well, I'll call it a code of you stay down the street with my children, and I'll be over here with my wife on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and the children. Like it was known he had another family over there, and he would be with the other family over there. So it was still done. It was just a code where the other woman didn't puff up and didn't, make her name known.
No.
Yeah. It was just a different code, but it's always been here. Men and women have always done it.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, no matter how society is portraying it and how it's acceptable and how it's glamorized. It is glamorized now. The side piece gets interviewed. The side
They
piece
got a show. They have a show. They have a reality show for side. That did it for me. I was just so done. I was like, come on. I mean,
because
really?
that's where the world is now. The more scandalous, the better. The more degrading to this generation, the better. They enjoy it more. But that doesn't make it right. Now, are there men out there who are faithful and loyal and loving and Christian and walking in goodness and want to be a good husband and have no intentions of cheating? Yes. There are amazing men out there. But society is trying to feed men that this is acceptable and you can cheat and have a side piece and all these other things. It's too much in them streets.
Come on now.
It's too much stuff to be like,
it can kill you. I mean, it is so dark that, not just with the STDs, let's talk about that, bringing that home, or you getting that, that could kill you. And then, you are having all these children, and I just tell the men, that will kill you, make you older than anything, because you are pouring out. That will age you.
Let's also put this out there. Side pieces are now killing. Murdering.
I was going there next. Yep.
Like outright, I'm going, if I can't have you to myself, she can't have you either. And I'm just going to
killing the families, snatching up the children. And they don't see that selfish, insatiable, is that side piece or that affair worth it?
Because this is the thing. When you open the door to sin and the enemy, you can't control, well, devil, you can only have this much space.
Ooh.
You can't come over. Now you want to sin and then tell the devil just how far he can go in your sin. You want to surrender certain parts of you to the devil and then tell him how far, well, I'm a sin with her, but here's a boundary around my sin. That's foolishness. Grown folk used to say, don't let the devil ride because he gonna drive.
He gonna drive.
You can't let him in the car. You can't tell sin, this is the boundary of how far sin can be. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
We have enough, there's enough issues and turmoil that is assigned to us as it is. Don't add to it by bringing in the side piece.
Okay. So, but we want to leave on a note that there are some wonderful men of God and women of God who are committed to one another. Because like we said yesterday, women are sisters out there. They got they boy toys too. and they're doing this just as much of aggressive as the men are. And leaving, and taking advantage of the good men that they have. You know what I mean? Going to be with, some child. I got it a child, versus what you have in, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm seeing the roles reverse.
The thing about infidelity, it stems from a brokenness. It's not just you wanting to feed your selfish desires, because it is, but the underlying root of that is unhealed, some kind of unhealed area in your life. It starts with your broken relationship with God, because if you're committed to God, there's certain things you're just not going to do because you don't want to hurt God. You don't want to offend God. You don't want to represent him inappropriately. So usually when you're cheating, there's some kind of underlying issue that you have unresolved, that you haven't dealt with. And you need to deal with that. Why do you feel the need to risk harming your entire family in order to satisfy this one area? It's not because she didn't give you enough sex. It's not because she doesn't look good anymore. It stems from unresolved issues and baggage within you that need to be dealt with.
Okay. So that goes back to that first question that they have for our gentlemen or male. They need just as much healing as we do, and sometimes probably even more if they've been taught to hold it in or not show it or not talk about it and all of that. This is good. So, okay, let's just talk about this. I'm just gonna say it. Why do men cheat? Why is there infidelity? Why? Just that's a loaded question, but why? Just why?
It is. And I kind of touched on it in the last statement. Men and women cheat because of unresolved baggage. They cheat because of their broken relationship with Christ. They cheat because they're trying to fulfill a need inside of them that most likely will not be fed until they get right with God, until they get healed from God. This broken area. Some men cheat because of mommy issues. Some men cheat because of daddy issues. Women cheat because the underlying issue is always unresolved baggage or issues that stem from a broken relationship from God, and something that's happened within their childhood that's still hurting.
So you don't believe, I guess because I'm such a matter of fact person, that most men just cheat because they're selfish and they feel like they can.
It is
because most men
are
they're transactional. At least the ones I've been around,
but
they're transactional.
No, it is because it's selfish. And they're selfish because of some unresolved baggage that stems from their childhood. They're not born selfish and desiring to harm other people. No one is born with saying, well, I'm going, when boys are little, they're loving and they love their moms and they want hugs and they want kisses, they want to be loved. But as time goes on, things happen, damage, they experience things, they see things. There's always something broken. Whenever we sin, it's because of unhealed baggage, unhealed emotions.
Which causes the selfishness.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up. Because that's one of those, you're sitting with your girls and they're having that conversation and they're looking at it like, why are they cheating? You're just sitting there like, well, what?
And selfishness is a fruit of baggage. It displays differently. And infidelity is just one way that fruit is manifested.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh, I learned. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Because the underlying root is sin. And whenever we sin, it's because there's some baggage there that we haven't addressed. And the enemy said, oh, look, here's an apple.
Yeah.
Don't you want this apple? And we say, okay, yeah, that apple. But God told me not to eat it, but okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is good. This is good. So when you are talking, I know you are a wife coach, but there's still that husband in the house that she needs to deal with. So how can a man, a husband, help his wife and himself during this infidelity, this indiscretion? What can he do? You know, what are some of the steps?
The first thing he needs to do is be patient. Do not rush her. So many men will come to the wife 4 or 5 months later saying, you need to be over this. You
why are we still talking about this? Why you still oh my God. Oh, did I just have a flash?
Baby, you had a serious flashback. But you're right. They'll say that.
But men in general, it's always like, oh, okay, you know, are you done? Okay, because you know, I thought we were over that.
Experts say it will take between 1 and 2 years for a marriage to be restored or back to normal after experiencing infidelity. At least 1 to 2 years. And that's with intentional work. That means we are dealing with the issue. We are addressing the problem. We are facing the struggles of our marriage. We are intentionally rebuilding our marriage. We're intentionally rebuilding trust and accountability and boundaries. It takes between 1 to 2 years. So 4 months later, her still having moments of rage, having moments of depression or anxiety because of the infidelity, that's normal. And that's part of the healing process. Wives need time to heal, to grieve, to heal, because she's grieving all that she thought was real. What's happened to it whenever a woman has experienced infidelity, her marriage has died. In her mind, in her emotions, it feels like a death to women.
It is. And you gotta cleanse. You have to cleanse. And if your husband really loves you, and like you said, understand who Christ is in his own life, he will understand that that's a cleansing, because she feels violated. To me, infidelity is a violation.
It is.
Because you violated the covenant, you violated your body that I now share with someone else. And it's just, it's all of that. It's a very intimate thing. And we as women are emotional creatures. Okay, men, we are emotional creatures.
So stop acting crazy. You won't be emotional.
Yeah, telling us, can you just hurry up with this whole I mean, they bless their heart. They do. They just want you to hurry up and heal and hurry up. And I think that to me compounds it, maybe even the anger, because now she's looking at you like, I mean, you brought this in and now you want me to hurry up and get over it off of what you did. And it just, to me, don't you think that just adds more tension?
It does. But that's also part of their guilt and their shame that they're still struggling with. When men cheat and they get caught, and now they have risked their marriage, good men will be convicted. Good men will feel remorse. Good men will now carry the burden and the pain of realizing what they have done. So when 4 months later, realistically, from the moment that she says she's going to stay with him until whenever, like, he's on pins and needles. He's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to upset her. I don't want to frustrate her. I don't want to say anything that's going to make her leave me, because I know she has every right to leave me right now. Like biblically saying she has every right to
He
leave.
does.
I will be okay with that. So he is also suffering and struggling with, I don't want to do anything that's going to make her leave. I want to make her happy. I don't want, so part of him saying, are you over it yet? It's part of his guilt and his shame, because every time that you're struggling, it takes him back to his sin. It takes him back to what he's done wrong. And it's just a reminder of his brokenness.
Okay. Wow. So and now I'm going to get about your truth as a wife counselor, and again, no names, but tell me an instance where you had to not only coach her, but also maybe coach him, because they both needed to cleanse and repent and move forward. How, can you give us some nuggets or truth about that?
Yes. There have been times when I've been working with a wife and we upgraded her package to now include the husband, and taking men through the healing process also. It's so mandatory.
Yeah.
Yes, he cheated. Yes, he sinned, but he needs to go through the healing process too, because I'm not talking about them that's been in the street and want to stay in the street and don't care. I'm talking about the ones, oh my God, not them. Okay, we ain't talking about them. But he needs to go through the healing process too. He needs to grieve. He now has to forgive himself, because
guilt will just eat you alive, and then he won't grow. That's what I was getting at. I mean, I know you've seen that and you experience it. Have you experienced as a wife coach or as a counselor to do that, more of that, or is always just the wife?
Actually, it's funny you say that because after months and months of wrestling with God, like I'm gonna win.
Come on now.
I finally surrendered fully, and I'm launching my new another coaching program where I now help the husband and the wife restore the marriage.
Yay.
So because there's such a demand for it, there's no one helping husbands with.
That was my next question. So how do a husband, even as the perpetrator, as they say, I know that sounds so sterile, but even as a perpetrator that has been forgiven, because once Christ forgives them and they repent and they really are trying to turn away, they need healing too, because guilt, I know I was, and during my cleansing period of my life, it was the guilt that still stayed right there. Yeah. And it was a mentor, a biblical Bible class. She was Janie. Oh, she was awesome. She just looked at me and was like, you still carrying that. And even though I thought I was doing fine, because I thought I didn't fast, I didn't pray, I didn't siphon my life off, I'm raising my children, she said, you're still wearing that guilt, because I know of my shame, what I did. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine for men who already struggle talking or communicating or knowing what to do with that. How do they heal from those past indiscretions that they did? Just like we do for reentry. I think it was just like reentry. We're looking for the inmates to come get back in society, and we're counseling them how to reenter. So how are we counseling these dudes to reenter into their marriage, to their covenant? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So he's not doing this. Like, okay, so is she over it yet? I mean,
like, no, she's not over it. You need healing too, okay? So yes, that's why I'm launching my marriage restorative program, where I work with husbands and wives to take them not only through the healing process, but how to be intentional about building a marriage. Because when infidelity happens, you have to picture it as your house has burnt down. It's gone. So now you have to deal with rebuilding the foundation, looking for all those openings. How come the smoke detectors didn't go off? You know, what were the warning signs that this could have been possible? What are those entryways where it could have gotten into the house? You know, dealing with what went wrong and rebuilding the marriage so that it doesn't happen again. And helping the husbands through the healing process too.
So my last question then for the men on that is communication. There's still this disconnect. I think even before the infidelity, during the infidelity, and definitely after the infidelity, what are some of the things that you feel men need to really understand about this communication style or this communication thing in marriage?
Men have to understand that women communicate differently. Your wife, I don't care how logical she is, she's going to communicate in a style that's different from yours. So being patient with each other, asking words like, or repeating what he said. Well, I hear you saying this, or I understand you're saying this. Listen with a listening ear, not listen with intentions to respond. Okay. Hear your wife. And one of the things that my husband is always saying to me, even though you were fussing, I was listening to your heart. And that's, and I got a good, honey, I got a good one. He be making me feel bad. He's like, I try my best to hear your heart, even when sometimes what's coming out of your mouth is like, ah! He's like, well, I hear pain. I hear the pain that you're experiencing. And I'm trying to hear through that. So not condoning women, not condoning women being all over the place, because we need to use our communication skills properly and say what we mean and mean what we say. But sometimes when you're not understanding, one of the techniques that I teach is texting, responding through text. And what in my coaching program, one of the things that we do is I will say, okay, we'll take out your phone and text. Say what you mean in a text. Men respond better through text. I don't know what it is about them.
But see, okay, let's bookmark that, because then they don't, but this joke or this meme that they don't like paragraphs. So so they want a short text and they're still done. That's not real communication.
Why does there have to be a paragraph?
True. I mean, for them, if they see anything over so many sentences.
Listen, and be clear. Sometimes I respond. I was, my mom died when I was 14, but I'm more like my dad. I because of what I witnessed, it kind of programmed me in a way to where I think a lot like men. And so when I see a long text message, I'm like, I ain't got time for this. Look, ma'am, can you send that in? Like, I'll get DMs sometimes, and it's like, oh no, let me skim through this and figure out what they really want from me. So why does it have to be a long message? You need to, and sometimes when we do that, it's because we are trying to get our emotions out into the message. We're trying to express our emotions, and sometimes it's just, okay, what's the main point that you want him to get from this? Girlfriends, your girlfriends come in very handy when you want to give a thesis about how you feel.
Why gotta be a thesis, man?
Look, a thesis.
Why you calling a thesis?
Because I've seen the text, and I've sent some of them text messages, and I'd be looking at myself like, a Retress, you wouldn't even read all this. Now, come on. My dissertation of how you have offended me, and chapter 4, okay? And not to minimize what you feel, but if you want to communicate effectively and you want him to get it, don't send him a dissertation.
Yes, ma'am.
Just do better. Like my husband and I, we got into we had a disagreement, and I wanted to send the 1,000-word dissertation. And finally I sat there and I looked at it and I said, delete. My feelings are hurt. And he
Because they are a
responded.
matter of fact. Yeah.
And he responded with, "I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. That was not my intentions. So he can hear that. He can, man, it's just too much. It's just too much sometimes. So he's like, give me the point. Let me deal with the point, and what's the solution we can come up with? Get to the meat of it. If you can't say it in under a minute, if 60 seconds, boo, you got 60 seconds to get your point out. Come on.
Because that's why I wanted you. This is good. Okay, men, are y'all, and women, y'all take us. I'm taking.
and I say that because I'm the same way. Like, you got a good 60 seconds to catch me. Because I'm doing 50 different things in my head. I'm like building a house and planning for millions, and I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff in my head. So you got a good 60 seconds to catch me. What's the problem? Okay, here's the solution to the problem. Don't give me. And what's funny, my husband, sometimes when he talks, it's a good. He can talk
because he's a social butterfly.
He's a social butterfly, and I'd be like, what's the point? Like, is there a problem I need to solve, or So with that being said, know your spouse. What works for me and my husband will not necessarily work for another couple. Because there's another wife out there who wants the lengthy text. She wants to see all the understanding and all the periods, and she wants to see all of it. And me, it's like, dude, it's too much. I need cliff notes.
Cliff notes.
I need cliff notes for what you trying to say, because it's too much. I mean, like, when he's fussing at the girls, sometimes I be sitting there like,
no, you don't.
On the inside, I be doing it on the inside though. I don't do it outside.
Okay, inside voice.
I use my inside voice on the inside. I don't let them see it. When he get I'll just leave. I'll leave and come back, because I be like, he don't yell. He doesn't raise his voice. He's not like that. So he's talking his way through, and he wants you to understand it. He's talking, and I be like,
he's logical.
I don't know about that. He just, I love him. He got a lot of words. He gonna use all about it. I love the priestess. He should have been a counselor, because he got all the words. No, maybe not, because he got all the words. You got to listen when you're a counselor. So I love my husband. I do. But so I say all that to say, you have to know your spouse. Just because she's a female doesn't mean she's like all the females. Learn her communication style, what works for her. He needs to be intentional about making sure she's aware of his communication style. This is what works for me. I know with my husband, I can't come to him and expect him to give me a response or a solution within the same 60 seconds. I need to give him some time to process. He needs to think about it, figure it out, then come back to me, and then we still work it out together.
Yeah.
You have to know who you're married to, and don't put expectations on someone else that is not within their capacity. Do not.
There you go.
You will set them up for failure. It is not, like I said earlier, it's not my husband's capacity to receive a problem and immediately solve it. That's not his capacity. That's not how he functions. And for years, I tried to get him to be that way. I'd come with a problem, and this is what we're going to do, and this is the problem, da, 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 da. And he's sitting there looking at me like, okay. And he's processing, but I'm like, you ain't got nothing for me? But that's not who he is. And like, for me, come to me with a problem, I'm immediately trying to figure it out. So for me, just to listen and not dissect, that's a challenge for me. But he knows, you have to know how to deal with each other. Know yourself. Because I have to tell myself, Aretha, shut up and let the man talk. Just shut up. Be quiet. Let him process out loud. Give the nods. Yes. Listen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Know your spouse. Know yourself. And come to a middle ground where you both are being heard, and feel you're in a safe space whenever you two are engaged.
That is so awesome. Oh my God. This has just been the best series so far, because you are giving some real life nuggets. Like, I'm a communicator, but at the same time, if I'm frustrated or mad at you, or, you know, you're not responding to me correctly or the way I need it, I shut down, I get quiet. And everybody in my immediate intimate world knows, if it gets quiet, she ain't happy.
Okay.
And I don't have a poker face.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very expressive. I'm, you know, and I don't hold grudges. So if I'm mad, eventually you gonna get it. It's gonna come out. But I had to learn how to process it before and this has been a learned thing, before I just say it. Because I just was so just hard, just, you know, because like you, I had a strong dad, you know, and I had a strong mother, both in the household. Mm-hmm. But on my dad, he was strong, but he was quiet. He was methodical. He was, you know, he had to sit back. My mom said what she had to say, and taught me to be say what you got to say. You know
what you mean.
Say what you mean. So I had the both worlds, but I had to learn as an adult because of corporate world or community and politics, all of that stuff. I've learned my language, way I say things or not, has changed. And I think also as you get older, you just learn, you know, like I said, just shut up again, or don't get too quiet, because if you're over there seething, and if he say the wrong thing, or whoever that is, I feel like you've earned it. You've earned this that I am about to give to you. You have earned it now.
Or what I say, well, you asked for it. Yeah. I'm just giving you what you asked for, okay?
Yeah, be careful what you asked for, because you earned it, you know, at that point. But the good thing about me when my husband finds me is that I don't hold grudges. I'm not a begrudging person, because I think it's just too much energy to stay mad at you. I'd rather get it out. I'd rather fight cat and dogs and we get it out. And we say we gotta say, and then I can move on. So that's kind of my dude side. Like, okay, let's because I don't want to stay mad. So there's that balance, you know. But I am a communicator. Either communicate to me text, you know, with the fire, with the smoke, something. SOS on top of the building, but give me something, because when you don't communicate to me as a woman, then and it's again those past traumas, I take it as you don't really care, or you don't really want to talk to me. And then then you internalize that, and it's just, I was like, okay, Gabe, you just, some people, some men, they don't know how to communicate, and you got to tell them. I'm a communicator.
I'm so glad you said that, because we have to be intentional about saying what we want, saying what we desire. What are your expectations? Unexpressed expectations will destroy any and every marriage.
Ooh, we're going to get more into that on Saturday. Woo!
You have to say what you want. If you're expecting him to respond a certain way, or if you're desiring a certain kind of engagement, say that to him. Not say it in a way that it's going to happen, but give them the opportunity to know, this is what I desire. This is the way I would like for you to communicate with me. This makes me feel safe. This makes me feel loved. This makes me feel that you're engaged. Say that, because you've taken two different people from two different households, two different upbringings, two different temperaments, and you're putting them in a house together, and you want him to be like you and get you. No, he ain't gonna get it. You basically took someone. You took someone from China, and someone from America, and said, "Here, now be one."
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're both Christian. The only thing that does is you now have a good foundation. You now have a stable foundation and a meeting ground for where Christ is leading us. You will still have conflict. You will still have frustration. You will still have temptations and all the issues that unsaved people have. The only difference is you have power of the Holy Spirit. That's the only difference. You got God
to build on.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate this. Would you please tell the audience, to our men who are listening, because they do listen, how to contact you, your contact information, and some of the things that you can probably offer their wives and even for them?
Yes, I can be found. My website is Connecting Love and Marriage. I'm on Facebook at Connecting Love and Marriage. I am on Instagram as Connecting Love and Marriage. My email account, this is my personal one, not my business one. Actually, I'm gonna give y'all my business one. Contact at Connecting Love and Marriage. There's a theme here. There's a theme. I try to keep it universal, so that no matter where you go, you're gonna find me. Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the places. I'm the same thing. And what do I offer wives? I offer, there's 3 different programs that I offer for women. One dealing with building their self-esteem, the other with the healing process and getting to a point where they are no longer on that emotional roller coaster. And then my 3rd program, which is rebuilding and restoring the marriage. And that's where I work with men and the husband and the wife.
Yay! Y'all heard from the best, from the master. This was a master class to Love and Marriage. Our last part of our series, we're going to talk about the marriage as a whole. So that last portion that she spoke about, we're going to really let her dig in and maybe even give us some little bit of more nuggets to how to build on that foundation. Mm-hmm. And thank you, wife coach. It has been a pleasure. And thank you, audience. If you have any questions, please contact her or contact me at my email address, acorbin.speakinggrace@gmail.com, or, reach out to me on YouTube and all of the social media that you do, and let me know if you want to get more information on how to contact Mrs. Hollins, wife coach. Thank you. And everyone have a lovely weekend. Talk to you later for the last session.
Thanks for listening to Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast. Stay tuned for another episode with more real conversations, celebrating real and inspiring people from all around the world.